Pretty damn close. Alrighty, we are live, so I'm just going to check the streams out. Everything looks good on our end, though. I like the new camera, dude. I like the new everything, really.
I like it. It looks good.
I'm really happy with the way it's turning out. So, we are on Facebook Live on the 100 Proof Whitetails channel, my personal Facebook page, and the Old Tin Cup YouTube page, which has all of the 100 Proof Whitetail content goodies on it. So, if you would, head on over and subscribe to the channel.
Oh, we got fancy buttons.
I got
and
little
banners.
fancy buttons. Like I said, we are 100 Proof Whitetails down here. Jake's stopping by.
How we doing, y'all?
And we're going to talk about how kind of the off season's going, what's going on with stuff, maybe some new stuff coming from the outdoor group.
Yep, we got some new stuff out.
And kind of wherever the conversation takes us with everything. So Jake's just getting back from Lancaster shoot.
Yeah,
got the new hat on and everything, looking nice.
20th annual. It was a good work trip. Got to go down and got to show everyone our products that we offer with the outdoor group. It was a great experience. Those of you that know me, know me, you know that I am, I'm a social person.
Yep.
I can get along with just about anyone. You're a friend of mine. We'll sit there and we'll talk anything all day long.
Yep.
But you also, knowing me my whole life, know that I am also not a social butterfly at all times either.
Everybody has their limits.
And that was something, I thought was going to be tough for me. Because Thursday afternoon through Sunday afternoon, it is people nonstop all day long, want to know about the products, want to know what the outdoor group offers. And for those of you that don't know who the outdoor group is, we are Elite Archery, Scott Archery, Slick Trick Broadheads, CBE or custom bow equipment, Winner's Choice bowstrings. So
Scott releases.
I did say Scott Archery.
Yep. I was gonna say, oh, gotcha, Scott Archery.
So we are really your one-stop shop for product. You can get your bow, your release, strings, broadheads, sights, quivers, stabilizers, both target and hunting. And it was good to get down. I actually got to shoot the event as well too. And they do have a bunch of classes, so anyone that shoots a bow, you absolutely don't think you can't go and shoot at one of these big indoor tournaments.
How many different classes do they have at Lancaster? Do you know right off?
Off the top of my head, no, but I'm going to do the best to name them. You have men's open pro, women's open pro. You have bow hunter, men's open, women's open, youth male and youth female open, bare bow, Olympic recurve, seniors, master seniors, all different types of platforms.
So at least a dozen different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think the final count this year was like 4,000 archers shot the event. And,
oh, no kidding.
Oh, it was wild. It was absolutely wild. I want to say I shot the 4:00 Thursday line, and one whole side of the entire complex was archers.
Was just archers.
And that's 4 people on a bale. And I think there was about 60 bales. I was on bale 35.
So right in the middle.
Yeah, smack dab in the center. And I tell you what, target panic hit me, and it hit me hard. I felt really good at one point. End of my first game. So those of you that have never shot a Vegas round, what a Vegas round is, it is a 3-spot target. You have your X ring, your 10 ring, 9, 8, 7, 6, and miss. Excuse me.
So it just goes down to 6.
Yes, it just goes down to 6.
Gotcha.
And there's 3 circles. You have a top triangle, a left, and a bottom right. And it's different to shoot it.
Do you shoot them in any specific order?
Yeah, so like that event, you have to pick what target you're shooting in what order,
Mm-hmm.
because say we both shoot it, and say we both shoot a clean 300.
Okay.
But actually, no. So for a better example is say we both shoot a 300 29x.
Mm-hmm.
So we both tied, both score wise and X count.
Mm-hmm.
But it comes down to whoever dropped the X first. So say you do it on target on our second end,
Mm-hmm.
target 2.
Gotcha.
I do it on second end, target 3.
Gotcha.
I therefore technically by default win because I lasted one more X than you did.
Got it. I'm following you.
And it is a very fun tournament, I will say. What was different this year is, for those of you that have shot it in the past, some people have shot perfect scores in qualifying. But this year, what they did was interesting because there was, I believe it was a $50,000 prize to whoever could shoot a 660X.
So perfect.
And it was weird at first. It caught me off guard because the way the rules were explained was you're going to change targets after 5 ends.
So you move or you flip target, just new target.
It's a new target. But the way I always understood shooting a Vegas round was you shoot your 10 on your first game.
Okay.
Then you shoot your second game on the bottom target or vice versa.
Got it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So just kind of the flow of it and how that works.
Right, but this year they changed it so after your first 5 ends, change the target. Then you shot your next 5 ends. Then you would go to either top or bottom depending on where you were.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
I really recommend it to anyone. If you want to learn how to shoot in high pressure, I mean,
yeah, we talk about getting ready for that moment in the tree stand, but it definitely helps with you getting to that spot and focusing to make that happen with somewhat as much as you can simulate the pressure, really.
Absolutely. And I mean, we've all shot in our friend groups. We've shot little tournaments, local tournaments here, there, and there. But there is something to be said about standing on a line with hundreds of people and then also being broadcasted live on the internet.
Yeah.
At the exact same time.
Right. That's fair.
That is a whole new level of nerves.
No, I mean, the highest level I guess I've done is like the RPD type shoots. And I mean, they're shooting what? A couple hundred shooters, really? RBD?
Yeah.
Probably something like that.
I think Rob generally gets about a couple hundred people to shoot that. And I love shooting the RBD. Mm-hmm. That is going to be something I shoot every year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the 3D is good. I know they've moved the legs to Pennsylvania now. And then the finals in New York.
I believe it's still in Dansville. I don't know 100% sure.
Gotcha.
But I will say, dude, if anyone that shoots archery, you want to go and you want to like experience it, and not only experience it, but I mean like a lot of the companies go to like the outdoor group. We were there. All your bow companies were there. Your arrow manufacturers.
So it's kind of like an outdoor show, trade show, kind of wrapped into the archery shoot too.
Yeah,
gotcha.
But it's a small section, and then Lancaster does have their trailer there. So if you need to go pick up vanes, a sight, a stabilizer, stuff like that, that is there and available too. And it's only 10 minutes from the actual Lancaster Pro Shop as well.
Gotcha. So the full-on pro shop down there, that's right.
Absolutely. And dude, I had a riot.
Good.
I had a great time.
Good. Yeah, I know you're saying, we were talking to Keith before we started tonight. He called me, which is a good segue for this because we are drinking this one at K&M. This is the Yellowstone. This is what will be fresh cracking at K&M this weekend. Or not this weekend, sorry, Friday. We'll be doing a live K&M. And we've set it up that we are there once a month, first Friday of the month.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yep. So we'll be there once a month, first Friday of the month. Until further notice, starting with this one, and we'll see how it goes.
That's awesome. Congrats.
Yeah, so we'll be there, and they want us to do the Yellowstone, their regular old Kentucky bourbon whiskey, which actually, it's funny, it's Yellowstone Select, but it's from Lebanon, Kentucky, if you were wondering. It's not like Yellowstone, like the show or whatever, but I'm sure that's what everybody thinks, or like a different state, Yellowstone National Park or something like
Right.
that.
Fun fact: we were actually staying in Lebanon, Pennsylvania.
Oh, good old Amish country, eh?
Oh yeah.
You see the mafia while you're down there, did you?
No.
Did you want a little?
No, thank you.
Okay, that's cool.
Believe it or not,
you've been burning at both ends, man.
Dude, I'm exhausted. I actually did not see a single Amish people.
Yeah.
I did not see anyone of the Amish religion down there, surprisingly.
The Amish peoples?
Not see any Amish.
Gotcha.
Actually, we didn't see a deer until our drive home.
That's because there's Amish down there, and that's why you're not seeing them. They're in the bush. Taking out all the deers. Bo comments in, says, are target archers moving away from heavy bows? I'm not talking about poundage. I'm talking about physical weight of the bow for better target acquisition.
So,
they're spreading it out away, like, I guess, from the bow. I know a lot of guys run long weighted systems.
So, I mean, that's an individual. That's solely based on the individual. I shoot the Elite Verdict, and I believe bare bow is about 5 pounds. Once you add in my sight, rest, scope, it's probably 6, and then I'm running a 30-inch bar off the front with 8 ounces off the front and a 15-inch bar off the back.
Pretty light setup, really.
All in all, I'd say my bow is probably around 8-9 pounds.
Yeah.
I find that I can hold better, especially when you get out to full draw and you have that weight right there.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know you started shooting with a back bar probably last 2 years?
2 years.
2 years or so?
Give me 1 second.
Yeah, man. Go ahead. So, what do you got with you? Is that what you're going to grab?
I do have my bow up in my truck.
Oh, you're using the restroom. Gotcha. My bad, man. I thought you were going to grab the bow. I was like, we're going to see this real time, guys.
Should I go grab it? I can.
If you want, man, that's up to you. This is live show. But yeah, so it all kind of depends individually. I know I got away from the one sight I was using on my hunting bow just because it was a little heavier than the one I run now. But yeah, I think that comes down to individual setup, and like we talk about with having different kind of things that you like in your setup and your equipment. Some guys like to run, more poundage, heavier arrows, other different stuff like that. So I guess, if you do like that heavier bow in your hand, and that makes you feel more comfortable and confident, and you can perform better with that, I think that's a great way to attack it. Steve says, good stuff. Never had it. That's awesome, dude. Yeah. So K&M was nice enough to kind of offer up that partnership, and we'll be doing the live show there through the StreamYard app that we run everything through now. So those shows will be on Facebook and YouTube only. The only thing that those won't be is on the Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and everything like that. So if anybody else is tuning in right now and doesn't know yet, we are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you listen to any of your favorite podcasts, you should be able to find us. 100 Proof Whitetails on that. So thank you everybody that supported us and kind of pushed us to make that next jump into the podcast realm. And people were saying that they want to listen to us at work and can't have YouTube open or can't have Facebook open and everything like that for listening to these shows and catching up with them, or they're watching them after the fact. So that's something that we're really thankful for getting the push from you guys, and hopefully we can keep bringing you the content you guys want to hear or see with this. So yeah, Dan Festa says instinctive always. Dan Festa, longtime listener. I think he's one of the first listeners. He got some of our 100 proof custom engraved bottles. Jesse actually won it, but I guess it made its way down to Festa Deer Camp down there in the old southern tier, and I guess they got to enjoy it, and they wished it was a little bit bigger. I heard, unfortunately, it was only in the budget line this year for 375s for the giveaway this year. So we're in net loss right now, guys. So just trying to keep up the good content conversation, and we appreciate you guys. Even if you see us passing on the street, anything like that, let us know that you're checking us out. Let us know in the comments, what you guys think of it. And we, like I said, keep appreciating your guys' support. So it just poured me up a little bit of this Yellowstone. I just tried this the other night, and I'll get back to it again now. I've only had it. This probably only be my second pour of it I've ever had. So I like it. It's kind of got a nice little herbally kind of note to it for a bourbon, which is something that's a little bit different for a taste profile and everything like that. But this is actually distilled and aged in Kentucky and bottled at the Limestone Branch in Lebanon, Kentucky. So I don't know if they're sourcing this whiskey, this bourbon specifically, or what they're doing with it. But it's not a bad pour. The 93 proof, super approachable, super drinkable. You can put this over a couple cubes if you want to proof it down a couple notches for you. If you're not, full on drinking it neat, but if you want to come by and stop by and try it out, we'll be, like I said, at K&M this coming evening. We're usually there for a couple hours, tasting, shooting the bull, and talking to folks about whiskey and bourbon and hunting and everything else in between. So with that, Dan Festa is going to give you a whole bunch of shit right now because he was just saying about Instinctive Always. That's Jesse's dad.
Well,
I don't think you've ever had the pleasure of meeting Dan.
I have not had the pleasure of meeting Dan.
Yeah.
Dan, Instinctive, kick ass, man, but
badass,
but
killers. But yeah, so yeah, I'm gonna pass on the Instinctive too. I'm not that good, unfortunately.
No,
I need all the help I can get, and I still can't get the job done. Bo comments in, said, did the 2023 deer harvest report come out for New York yet? I don't know if the deer harvest report came out yet. I was going to post a link. It'll be when this episode drops on the podcast networks. It'll be up on the Facebook page. It'll be the whitetail report from QDMA they release every year. I'm going to put a link to that on the thing so people can check that out. New York State's data is in there. I think that's from a couple years ago. Usually it lags behind a year or two, with the data they release. So it's probably last year's data, I would assume. But the 2023 data, usually they release that, I want to say, in March or April, I think. Sometimes they do a little presser on their Facebook page, so I guess stay tuned for that to see if anything comes of it. But Jake brought down the setup, and we can keep the whole thing in frame. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. So, Bo, I know you were asking about like the overall weight and stuff, and I mean, so right off the rip, those of you that can see it, this is generally what a target bow setup will look like. Generally, you're going to have a longer target bow. Most people run longer stabilizers. I actually run mine at a 10-degree down. I feel that at full draw, I get the best hold.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of bow companies, including us, we do have this little bracket that I don't know if it's going to be hard to see. Bolts right into the side of the riser right here. This is called our product. We call it the Sidekick. Overall weight.
And that's to help offset the sight side of the weight.
Yeah. So, I mean, it all really depends.
On how you like it and how it feel comfortable for you.
So, I mean, there's a lot, as you can see, like not even at full draw, just holding it, it just sits right there.
Yep. It's nice and balanced.
Yep. And I mean, that's all personal preference. I know people that run 2 pounds of weight out front and a pound out back.
Mm-hmm. Just like that heavier feel in the hand.
Yeah. And I mean, it really all is what feels best at full draw.
Yep.
There's something with target archery and even hunting bows that you can go down the rabbit hole on just about anything with it.
Yeah.
So if you guys do have any questions, like I'm open to questions. Who do we got tuning in?
We got, I think it's saying 15 live viewers at the moment. I don't know if that's across all the platforms at once. I'm still trying to learn all this. I'm trying to run everything from my phone for other comments or whatever. Yeah, so it looks like all the comments are flowing in right, so we're good.
So, Bo, I actually used to shoot AAE Max Stealths for a long time. And then I tried the Silent Nights by Flex Fletch. Those are 3-inch vein, and I liked them. I was very happy with them. When it comes to a 27 diameter arrow, I wanted to try something a little different. So on these, I'm running a 3 3/4 inch tack driver.
Mm-hmm.
They're very stiff. Don't mind that there's glue everywhere all over the arrow. It's a arrow. It's not. I don't really care if it's super pretty. I personally like running all black veins and all black nocks. And that's something for a long time. I didn't have to shoot it, but I found that I could shoot more consistently like that because I wasn't yanking the bow away from my face.
Mm-hmm. Bo says, any experience with saber vanes?
So the DCA custom arrows, it's the Super Saber, right, Bo? I've never tried them. I don't know anyone that has tried them. From what I hear and what I've seen on YouTube is they're a great vane. They steer very well, and I believe they're actually very quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, Nate.
So reiterate the comments for people that aren't able to view them or whatever. So Nate's question or comment was, if you draw your bow back and in your natural hold, meaning your natural feel of hold your bubble slightly to the left or slightly to the right, lower stabilizer is put to help you naturally settle that bubble, kind of offset that weight or that hand tweaking adjustment that you might have with your setup. That could be a good place to start for how it wants to feel in the hand.
Yeah, absolutely. I noticed that even on a hunting bow, when I started running a back bar, even for shooting 30 yards, I felt much more stable.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I know everyone, when you shoot indoors, a Vegas face, you're shooting 20 yards.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's no wind as well.
Right.
I understand that, but when you're standing there for 60 arrows, high pressure,
it's a lot of shots.
It's a lot harder to move a heavy bow,
right,
than it is a super light bow. So bow, like I said, I have no experience with those vanes. I've heard a lot of great things about them. As far as a release, I have been shooting the Scott Apex, which is a nickel-plated brass thumb button that has the adjustability to go between a 3 and a 4 finger. It comes in a medium and large, and it's got an open hook face.
Okay.
Some people that shoot a thumb button with a hook, they like to be able to clasp it on their D-loop and just leave it there. Some people like to do that. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather just keep it in my pocket because, I don't know, I fidget a little bit.
It's your setup, and like we were saying, how you're comfortable with shooting it and what feels the right, way for you. Do you want to have it clipped up there and then you grab onto it? Do you want to reach into your pocket every time and grab it and put it on? If that's your routine and your setup, and that's what archery is very routine, set up and motivated, that if that's how you're doing it, just have that repetition. So you have that muscle memory and that similarity for what you're doing with that setup. And that's how you're going to, decrease your group size and increase your success.
Absolutely. And right now, currently, I am shooting. I've gone back to a hinge to try and help with my target panic. Because anyone that knows me knows that I beat that thumb button like it's a redheaded stepchild. It gets hit with a Mike Tyson every time I'm at full draw.
Mm-hmm.
And I went back to shooting a hinge. I have the Ascent, which is a micro adjust for both the moons for how long it takes to get to click and then how long to fire. And then also the Longhorn Pro Micro, which is a flatter release. It's a brass hinge, and it comes with a fast click, slow click, and a no click. Don't crucify me, but if you shoot with a no click, in my mind, you are a psychopath, because that is terrifying to shoot without a click to at least know where you are in your shot process.
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't like to know where they are in their shot process. And I mean, hey, that's what you want to do. You do you.
I'll stick to my little finger trigger.
Yeah.
Wristy. That's what works for me.
Any tips on relieving knock pinch on your D-loop? So there's a couple different things you can do. Some people do a soft tie, which is just a little bit of serving above and below your knock on your string, on that serving center, your center serving.
Between your knock point and your D-loop knot.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Your pro shop can absolutely do that if you ask them to. I personally don't run any of that.
I think I got one under my knock point.
I don't run it on mine. I run my D-loop just a little bit wider than my knock.
Mm-hmm.
So as you guys can see, I don't know if you'll be able to see from that angle or not, but then you can tell them you can see my...
Yeah, you have just enough play to make sure that it's comfortable in there. Just enough, it's not going to be pinching on it.
Right. I don't want it to be super wide open, but I don't want it to have a ton of travel as well.
Yeah. So like I said, I think on mine I have a small serving wrap, just under my knock point, but above my D loop, if that makes sense. So it goes the bottom knot of my D loop, serving, knock, and then the top part of my D loop.
Mm-hmm.
And just making sure that knot or that D loop knot is snugged right down nice, and you don't get any travel and play on it. That's burnt in ends really good. That way you don't have flappers and flyers going when you're shooting. And like I said, Heritage does a bang up job with my D loops. I just tied a new one on. Bo says, Ben, you're looking pretty lean. Have you been working out? No, I just
your prison workout.
Yeah, prison workout. Just stretching, dude. It's really all it is. It's just stretching.
I'm waiting for the day I walk into the house and you're doing yoga and there's like goats running around.
Yeah, don't tell my wife. She'll be wanting to get goats next. Jeez. Don't give her any ideas, dude. Oh my gosh.
If you get fainting goats, I am absolutely going to do everything I can to get my engine and my truck as loud as I can and just see if I can get it to backfire and all your goats just...
I'm trying to just kill my goats. Not even getting them to faint. They're just going to die out there. Yeah, thanks, Bo. I appreciate it. No, I've just been one of the honest things I've been doing a lot of is cutting back on the beer. Like the only time I had some beers was this past weekend at my diaper party,
which I missed.
Which Jake missed because he was in Lancaster, which is fine. He's down here now, hanging out and giving the recap and the guest episode this week. So I have a whole bunch of beer that I'm probably not going to drink. We had a couple tonight because they were cold and in my fridge still. But we cracked the coolers that are down here, dude, and the mountains are still blue on the Coors from Saturday.
I was impressed.
And they're not Yetis either. They're just good old Coleman's, man.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, they were just what I pulled out of the garage that Hannah's family's had for years. So, yeah, less beer, water, big thing. I'm drinking 90 to 100 ounces of water a day. So you piss all the time, but that also helps. I'm thinking this year when I start doing my mock scrapes and my trail cameras, I'm going to start having all this on this onboard scent hanging around. But, yeah, that's basically been it. Just stretching, water, and cutting out the beer. And, I mean, the whiskey, that's no calories and no sugar. We learned that the last tasting at K&M. There's no sugar in bourbon. So it's diabetic friendly. So, yeah, because the one guy couldn't believe there was no sugar added to it. I said, no, bourbon's all natural, man. And then we looked it up, and any distilled product, minute, if any, little to no amount of sugar. Again, consult with your doctor accordingly, but we're just telling you what we heard and read on the Googles.
I like it. So, Bo, Jake, you should have stayed down at Lancaster. You could have swung over to the Harrisburg show coming up. So, Bo, actually, I had to get back to work at the factory.
He's got a factory 9 to 5 with the outdoor group.
Yeah, so full disclosure, I do work for the outdoor group. People think I'm out here, am I allowed to say product whoring on the podcast?
No, I think you should, feel confident enough if you're in that industry and running that product. And if you run and believe that product, you should run it, dude.
Right. I mean, I love all of our products. Yeah. I did shoot some outdoor group products before I got to the outdoor group.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So
about learning your product inside out through the manufacturing process of it, I think you kind of
become so much more intimate
and attached to that product and that that equipment that you're building. So it kind of makes a natural fit, especially. Absolutely. And I know you guys have guys that aren't like in the quote industry or aren't archers that work in your facility, correct?
Yeah, we have a bunch of people that they
just machinists,
assemblers. They don't hunt. Mm-hmm. They don't target. They don't do a target archery. Nothing.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Me, I'm a diehard bow hunter, and I have a burning love for target archery, whether it's 3D or, even now shooting indoors. And I mean, like any of the products I use, any of our products in general, I can take it apart, put it back together.
Yeah.
Relatively quickly. Like I can take my bow apart and put it back together. My release, I can undo the screws, take it apart, clean it, put it back together. Same with my sight, my scope.
You got that intimate working knowledge with that piece because you know how all the pieces go together with that. Bo says, is G5 part of that group?
No. So G5, I believe, is a part. G5 and Prime are the same company. They are out of Michigan.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So you guys are Slick Trick still?
So we have Slick Trick, Elite, Scott, which is your releases, Elite's your bows, Slick Tricks are your broadheads. We have CBE, which is sights, rests, stabilizers, and quivers. Then we have...
Isn't there another broadhead company you guys acquired?
We used to have Solid.
Gotcha.
Solid has kind of faded out. But there is a product I want to talk to you guys about. We released this back in September. I don't know how many of you seen it or not. We also have an arrow company called Ultra Arrows. You guys that are really big into the hunting scene, you know that maybe you saw it on Instagram or Facebook. We're partnered with Levi Morgan. Anyone that knows hunting more than likely knows who Levi Morgan is.
Gotcha.
Anyone that knows target archery knows who he is. And these are not continuing to, whore out on the group, but they're great products. Like,
don't worry, I'll send the outdoor group the bill tomorrow for all this product placement and sponsorship lines. No, I'm just kidding.
I'll take it in.
And again, me and Nate talk about our setups. We talk about what broadheads we're shooting and what stuff we're running for the year. I've run a Scott release now for the last several years. Actually, when the trigger kind of got gummy on it, I switched to that, not making excuses, but I switched to that frickin' True Fire or whatever it was that I had, and I hit that buck high, and I missed that buck with that same old True Fire release. So I was it the release maybe, but I don't know. I gotta find my nice. I had that nice black one, whatever series that was.
That was the Wildcat 2, I believe.
Yeah, that black one. I love that black one. I lost. I don't know if it fell out of my pack one day or something, but that camo one I have, it doesn't feel like it's the quite same feel. I like that cloth separator between the trigger and that. It kind of sat nice and loose. I could hold it in my hand when I climbed up. Didn't make any metal tinging and stuff. So, I meant to hit you up for it before this next season because I'm gonna got to figure out what's wrong with my other Scott one too. I guess send that back with you. You said that they'll fix her up for me and make her brandy new.
Yep, just get a hold of warranty. They'll give you an RMA. Get that in, you'll have it good to go. Yep.
Do you all spinal line all your arrows?
So what's really cool about Ultra is we have what some people don't want to believe, but it's a spineless technology. So that is in the way the carbon is woven. So traditionally with a lot of arrows, you'll have a hard spot and a soft spot in your spine. And that is going to be the way the arrow wants to flex out of the bow. Our arrows, for those of you bow, do you bear shaft tune? Let me ask you that. So if you bear shaft tune,
or I like something I do too is knock tune with my broadheads.
Yep. So you're finding the spine of that arrow,
playing with it that way.
That's the same thing as like doing bear shaft tuning. Out of my hunting bow last year, before we came out with Ultra, I was shooting Easton Axis. So Bo, you'll enjoy this part. So I was shooting Axis. It was a 5mm arrow. For hunting season, I switched over to a 4mm arrow, which we can do the math. It's a smaller diameter arrow. Believe it or not, they weighed the exact same. I was able to get them to weigh the exact same, so I had no change in my sight tape. But what I was concerned about was how that arrow sat on my rest. Was it still going to tune right out of my bow? So I did what every archer does, or most archers.
Shoot it.
Yeah, I played with my shaft a little bit.
Gotcha.
I shot it through paper, and believe it or not, it was a bullet hole, both fletched and bare shaft, with a 4mm, where I was also perfect bullet hole with my 5mm. Generally, that wouldn't happen because it's a different diameter, where it sits on the rest is different, and so on and so forth. I took that arrow that was a bare shaft, that 4mm, and I spun that knock every single way. I spun it 12 times, just like you would on a clock, and it was a bullet hole every single time. I'm not just feeding you guys a line of crap. I'm really not. Ben knows how I am about my stuff when it comes to my bow. I think out of the group, but probably between Gary and myself, if not me, I definitely shoot the most.
Oh yeah, you can shoot at work. You can shoot all sorts of different times.
I shoot off my porch.
Yep, shoot off your porch, all that good stuff. Yep.
So I'm always shooting, and when I saw this and realized, like, wow, this is great. Like, I'm getting a bullet hole every single time.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't bear shaft tune any of them. I just threw fletchings on them. Took my broadheads. If you shoot a fixed blade, some people put a little O-ring on the back. I learned that tip from our buddy Ian. And I just lined my veins up with my broadheads, and they shot great. And that's the nice thing about having an arrow that is this spineless technology.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Yeah, again, that's all I've ever known or whatever is that knock tuning or spinning that knock with it. Before it was the dropaways and it was the whisker biscuits, it was third turns, and then sometimes you just throw the arrow out. And still once in a while you do find one of those that just doesn't want to spine out with the traditional, I guess, arrows or whatever you want to call them. But I do enjoy that, spending time and watching people if they're out there shooting with me, and like when I'm knock tuning and stuff like that, and I try to explain it to them. I've done a couple YouTube videos on it that are on the channel. Talking about how the knock tuning works. Now you can watch it literally come around like a clock, especially with a broadhead, until it wants to drop in and be right. But you also, like I said, have to be willing to spend that time, shoot that arrow 5-6 times, and when you think you find that spine, shoot it again just in case it was you that was shooting off. You know, you danced it a little bit out or whatever. And I found the real divider for the knock tuning is 30 yards. And then I test fly them again at about 40, just to make sure that's still flying true with it. And then sometimes at 30 to 40, I find one that just doesn't want to perform downrange further. So I have a whole bunch, and those are usually the ones I shoot. I'll tie on just a regular fixed blade head for a follow-up or a finish arrow or something like that. And I'll get them fairly close, but something where if I'm like tracking a deer or if I've, hit one higher, spined him or something like that, I can make a follow-up shot with a fixed blade head. And that's kind of what I usually do with my, nothing's perfect, but my prime spined, whatever you want to call them, arrows. So I've always been doing that, and I like that process and trying to pick apart an arrow and being like, oh, I turned it too much, or I didn't turn it enough, or, sometimes you think you got to keep going quarter turn, you go back an eighth of a turn, and it starts dropping in perfect. And it's just like, that's, I guess, where the sweet spot is. And then you mark it, like I have a little Sharpie, I'll mark it with what vein I want up, mark the top of the knock so that I know that knock's got to sit up kind of in line where that knock line is, and that's how I do it. So all my arrows look completely different, where the little marker Sharpies are on them and stuff like that. So, and that's just what I do. But like I said, whatever makes you confident, and the one thing that's going to make you a better shooter is repetition and shooting your bow or shooting your weapon that you're using. You're going to be a better shooter because of it, and you're going to have more success and more confidence going into the field. So I know we're partway through our winter league right now. You're shooting the Vegas style, which is the 3-spot.
Yep.
And then I'm still shooting the paper animal stuff, helping Mike, make sure that keeps flowing nice and smooth for him there at the shop. And we're about halfway through, I think, now. So we got about another 5 weeks and like 2 weeks of makeups, and we'll be pretty good. Hopefully that'll be all wrapped up by the time the baby comes.
Yeah.
That's the goal. And then just enough time where get rolling into the outdoor leagues and I can maybe shoot some 3D. So Derek said, "What's up, boys? What's up, Derek?
How we doing, buddy?"
He's been freaking frigid, dude, out in Idaho. Right before we got our cold snap, dude, they were, gosh, I don't even know. Derek could probably tell you how cold it was without wind chill. I want to say it was like negative 27.
How about now?
Like they were worried about, like running water freezing and stuff like that. Like that's how cold it was out there in Idaho. It was just insane, the numbers he was sending me. Unfortunately, he lost all of his chickens. Negative 36. There it is.
Derek, I'm glad you didn't get hypothermia, buddy.
Life below zero. And we're talking Fahrenheit, guys, not Celsius either. So, yeah.
36 below?
Yeah, he had the light on for his chickens, dude. And
it's 40 there now.
Yeah, 40 now, dude. We're 39, so you're about right on par. We had a little bit of snow. We had about another 2 inches, big whopping 2 inches here where we are in the Finger Lakes. And when I was out walking a property today in Cayuga County, it was literally disappearing right before my eyes. there wasn't much up there to begin with, but the rest of it just disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a Buffalo, Tug Hill, you've been getting some this year. Actually, crazy stat, Binghamton has had more snowfall this year than Rochester.
Really?
Yep. Which you don't hear that very often.
No, that's odd, but hey.
Yep, that downstate stuff. But
I'm okay with it.
But yeah, no, I was in what I've been up to is I've been was with a buddy of mine that's looking at a piece of property in Cayuga County. A non-real estate deal. He just wanted to talk to me about the value of it and the looking at it and stuff like that. So we were up there part of the day today, walking that and everything like that, picking it apart, kind of looking at some of the way the habitat laid out, what some of the cool stuff we found on that piece that you can really see, if you know what you're looking for and have seen similar stuff, is I figured that whole property was a farm traditionally, but a farm probably back 80 to 100 years ago.
Okay.
You could see all the old rock walls where all the fields ended, and you could literally, as we were walking through there, you'd get to a point and like there'd be a strip line, and what that would be was the headland for the field where they would strip line the water to get the water off the fields.
Oh, wow.
And it's in the middle of timber. I mean, you're talking 14-inch maybe diameter trees, and it's like all the same size, same age, everything, like a perfect like field planted of them, because it's a field planted of freaking trees because they just stopped planting it.
Mm-hmm.
Which was really cool. And then got to see some of the old cattle pasture on the hillside faces, some of the old locust posts that were still in there and stuff like that. So really cool to kind of see some of the history of that piece. We'll see if it ends up working out and making a deal with it, but it's always a good time. And then now I would be going to Harrisburg a couple days. I was invited to go down with a couple buddies for a little bit and help them out with a couple booths and stuff like that here and there. But unfortunately, I got too much habitat consulting and stuff to do this upcoming week, so I won't be able to be going down to Harrisburg. I even got a couple days. I got to boogie out of work and try to get 1 or 2 of them done, and then 2 this weekend, and then 2 next weekend, and 1 next week. So running,
yeah,
all over.
Oh yeah.
So luckily none of them are too far away. They're pretty much all day trips, no overnighters. But
okay.
But yeah, all over the place, a couple different counties, and just new properties. 1 return client, and finalizing, trying to book up habitat work, trying to really cram in as much as I can, because I know I'm gonna have limited weekends with the baby coming here end of March. So
yeah, you're useless for the first month and a half anyway.
just live on your mother. I get the time off. I'll just go be in the woods. But no.
No, I'm not giving parental advice.
That's okay. But Bo commented, and what's your favorite elite bow for hunting? What's your bow set up for the deer season?
I don't even have a hunting bow set up.
Well, you probably are waiting for the new one to. Is it officially released yet, or do you get to shoot the prototype a year ahead like all the pros?
I don't. I'm not a professional.
Oh,
so the bows that came out this past season were the Ethos and the Kairos. For those of you that don't really stay up to date on the bows that came out, if anyone remembers Elite years ago, they had the E35. Mm-hmm. The E35 was an amazing bow. A lot of people love that bow and still love that bow.
Synergy.
See, you were a Synergy man. That E35.
Right. That was a lot of guys' favorite too. Killed my biggest buck I've ever killed with a Synergy. I will give Elite that plug.
Yeah, there you go. You'll come back to the dark side. The Empire will return. So the Ethos is what I'm going to be shooting this year, just because of my draw length. So the Ethos goes out to a 31-inch draw. The Kairos only goes to a 29.5, which I'm going to go with the Ethos. I don't know if I'm going to do 70 or 75 pounds. Why 75? Because why not? If you can do it, do it. I'm kidding. I'm only going to do 70 pounds because when it's 10 degrees, I don't want to be cold bore drawing a bow.
63.
63.
I just shoot 63. 60-pound limbs, and they max out at 63.
There you go. What's really nice about the Ethos is it is based on the E35. So the Ethos and Kairos are the exact same riser. It's just going to be different cam systems. So the cam system on the Kairos is the same cam that is on the Verdict and the Allure. It is a smaller cam. I don't know how many of you guys can see that here. We'll hold it out.
Got the old podcast form. You guys are going to have to tune in on the real show as Jake's trying to knock my lights out with his 30-inch stick hanging off the front of it.
So that bow, that cam is a smaller cam. That's on the Kairos. It's on the Allure. I'm going to be shooting the Ethos, which is with the, I believe it's the SPX. I don't even know the name of that cam. It's a little more aggressive of a cam. I shot it on my Omnia last year. And so the Ethos, it's a 33-inch axle to axle, but because it has larger cams, it actually holds and feels like a 35-inch bow, hence the E35. A lot of people wanted us to bring it back, so that's where the Ethos comes into play. So that string angle coming off the cams is going to be damn near the same exact string angle that was on the E35 that a lot of people love.
Okay. So you're going to get the same axle to axle with both setups, or slightly different? So with the E35 and the Ethos, or the Kairos and Ethos? Kairos and Ethos. It's the exact same axle to axle setup. So all that's different, the brace height's different, obviously, because it's different cams. Mm-hmm. It's a larger cam to a smaller cam. So the Kairos is going to be, I believe it's a 6.5, where the Ethos is a 6 3/4. It's a touch more forgiving. I like it. Mm-hmm. At my draw length and my poundage, I've never had a problem with speed. You remember the bow I shot last year, the Omnia, was a short bow. It was 31 inches axle to axle. You know, I'm 6 foot, a little taller, maybe a little shorter, depending on what shoes I'm wearing that day. Right. I have a 30-inch draw length. Shooting a 6-inch brace height bow, a shorter bow, is difficult when you have a long draw. Some people can do it, some people can't. For the longest time, I could not shoot a short brace height bow, and I did it with the Omnia, and I was putting a 470 grain arrow at 290 feet a second. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping to get that same thing with the Ethos this year, a little bit longer of a riser, longer brace height. I might not exactly get that 290, but if I'm between 280 and 290, I think that's going to be great. Yep. As far as a hunting setup, I'm going to be running the Ethos with the CBE sight. I'm going to run the Ultra 4mm. There's the Centrums, and I'm going to run the Premiers, which are going to be the 001 straightness. I haven't decided what broadhead I'm going to use. I'll probably throw 2 assailants in the quiver, 2 Raptor tricks, and 2 fixed heads, just so a little bit of variety, in case things get Western. Derek, shout out to you in case things get Western. Fair. We know how you Western. You need to put a judo point in there. That's what you need to have to be a Western. Every guy that has a quiver out there has got a couple judo points sitting in it for freaking quail, no, prairie chicken, or ditch chickens and stuff like that. Chickens. Grouse. There you go. Yeah. So. And for when they want to practice shooting squirrels. Dude, that'd be great for shooting squirrels. A judo point. Mm-hmm. Squirrels. There you go. You guys need to patent a squirrel judo point and have Jesse and his dad be your main pro staffers. They would kill dozens every year with those things. That'd be great. And it would be entertaining. Derek says weak sauce. Probably on your 70-pound draw, you should be pulling 80-pound, limbs. Yeah, sorry, my name's not Bomar. I don't see the need. I guess I need to do some more stretchings and wear a tighter shirt, so both things I can draw 80 pounds. If you want to shoot 80 pounds, by all means, go ahead and shoot 80 pounds. But I'm also going to run a front and back bar again. It kind of was a pain in the ass in the tree stand, but I like it. I'll probably run a 15-inch bar out front and a 10-inch bar out back. For those of you that say it can't be done in a tree stand, it can. Right. It can be done. Just make sure maybe not with your shooting rail bar. Might take that off. Yeah, if you're going to do that, take your bow into all your stands before season. Right. Derek says you kill an elk with 45 pounds. Absolutely, you can. Shot placement, man. Nice cut on contact, sharp broadhead. Boom, good to go. Derek says camp meat. Honestly, I like shooting dead logs with the judo here. Just try to cycle my bow while I'm out. Yeah, if you're any kind of Western hunting, I got just a little taste of it last year with Derek hiking in Idaho, and we were fishing in Montana. We were hunting just over the border from Montana and Idaho, and yeah, dude, it was definitely something. I didn't have my bow with me because I couldn't draw an elk tag. We got into, I guess we saw a few elk and stuff like that, but never really made it happen. We talked about that with the live show out there at Derek's, which was pretty cool. But yeah, it was cool, dude, to like shoot judos and not blow up arrows and all that fun stuff. And I think Derek's shooting, I think he's 70 pounds or 72 pounds and shooting those judos with, I think he had FMJs, if I'm not mistaken. And he wasn't blowing them up, dude. It was crazy. And I couldn't believe it. But like I said, maybe I need to get some little spring point judos. Start shooting some squirrelies. Got to give Jesse and his dad a run for their money and, got to kill something, next year with my bow. I messed up this year. I can't say that. I haven't been out looking for, D yet or anything like that. I've been holding off. I'm going to do a card pull probably this weekend, Saturday before my visit on Sunday. And then, just try to get an idea of what's dropping. I saw a couple bucks out in fields tonight. Both were holding both sides in my local neighborhood. So, no big guys, a couple decent ones though, a couple little guys, but a lot of does and fawns, dude. A lot of does and fawns. And, the bucks disproportionately were outnumbered by the does and fawns. So, but yeah, other than that, dude, habitat projects, got to get out to the farm, start doing some cutting. I doubt I'll get to it this year. I would like to, been dealing with a lot of other family stuff and everything like that this year. So me and my dad haven't got a chance to really break down what we want to do project wise this winter. There's a couple things I'd like to do, and we could talk about a couple of those, and then me and him can flesh it out further. I'm sure him and Mom are listening in like they usually do on Wednesday evenings, but I'd like to release the oak trees we have on the farm, especially more just getting the grapevines out of them and stuff like that. I remember, was it probably 4 years ago, I marked out when we were shed hunted every oak tree I could find. And I came up with, we probably only have about 40 oak trees total on the farm. So it's not a very large proponent of our tree species breakdown. It's actually a very small portion of it. And that's probably 80%, 75 or 80% white oak, particularly swamp white oak, or bur oak, actually. Not swamp white, but bur oaks. And then we've planted some sawtooth oak and some other species. I didn't put those into the count. That's just the natural oaks. We have about 40 some. And we'd like to get the grapevines cut out of them, get them released, and start getting them, to the point where they can mature and do well for us. But we have some big reds, and they do produce, but they're so heavy every year, and we get such high squirrel populations around them. A lot of them don't even hit the ground, so they're usually all shucked out by the time they get down there. But that's one of the things. And then we have one of the food plots we got to do some more cleanup around. Boomerang or first trail, whatever you want to call that plot. Got to do some trimming. Got to get under the apple trees prepped for clover this year in that plot. Got to get it trimmed out to the extension we put in 3 years ago, whatever. Probably 3 years ago now. We had the brush cutter come in and we made the extensions on all the plots. We just got to do a little bit of the cleanup in between on Boomerang, but turnaround has been phenomenal. I mean, I've killed 2 good bucks out of there the last 2 years.
Oh, absolutely.
So, and could have killed another nice one out of it with my bow if I wanted to, but a good 3-year-old, but not what I was looking for that day. But yeah, and other than that, me and Nate have a new lease piece in Clyde that we're going to be working on and doing some videos on. Let's see if I can get a hold of him and do a card pull Saturday over there with him first. And then if I get to the farm after work or something like that during the week, I can always do that. But
very nice.
That way he can grab Owen and we'll go for a little putt around with the machine. And yeah. Any experience with chestnut trees? I have a chestnut tree that is over 20 feet tall and hasn't produced one chestnut. So do you have how many chestnut trees, I guess? Some species of chestnuts have males and some have females, if you did not know. That's why you put them in groves. And some are self-pollinating too. I should state that. But I think the Chinese chestnuts, I believe you have males and females. It's been so long, and I usually don't recommend non-native stuff if I can help it. But I know you want to plant those, and you want to plant, for good pollination or whatever. You want to plant multiple species, not just one. It will take several years, and sometimes, you will have random ones that just don't make it, whether it's a cold freeze out or what. Bo says I have one other tree that survived within 30 or 40 feet of it. The other ones I planted or died around it. Yeah, so I don't know if they were susceptible to the blight and they got some of the blight. Are they Dunstans? Are they Chinese chestnuts? I'm just trying to figure out and trying to diagnose it a little bit.
I know nothing about trees.
Yeah, I'm just checking it out.
I just know how to find it.
So it depends on the varietal of Chinese chestnuts, if you were wondering. Yeah, I can't remember. I think they were from Morris Nurseries. I would assume they're probably a Chinese chestnut varietal. Yeah, it's I know you have to have the male and the female flowers to obviously make your chestnut. Otherwise, they won't. We have a few that have produced. I will say that they don't last. We don't have like hundreds. We have like dozens maybe on some of our trees. But I also did run into that bow where we had a couple random ones just die out. I don't know if they were susceptible to the blight and they got, blight infested and died, or what happened with them. But yeah, the chestnuts we planted them. I have to check my book, or if my dad's watching, he could probably give a better input on that. I want to probably say 17. So ours are probably going on 6 or 8 years old now, somewhere in that ballpark. I'd say maybe 8 years old. One's down around Greg's food plot.
Yes.
Something like that. Jake's like, yes, sure. Hey man, you found your biggest shed over there.
Yeah, I did.
St. Patrick's.
Remember the day I said, hey Ben, you think there's a shed in that field? And then there was a shed
in that yard.
Yeah.
I think there's a shed in this yard. Maybe we'd already found a few that day. I was like, I don't know, maybe. Or no, we didn't find one that day. And we're walking out, and you find that one just randomly, probably like 40 yards from the truck and right next to my neighbor's yard. In a little area that we mow like a yard.
Yeah. We're just walking. I'm like,
yeah, I think we were skunked, or maybe we found one small one. And the one you found in the yard wasn't all that big either, but it was still funny. You're like, hey, wouldn't it be something funny if there's one like up here in the yard?
And then there's one in the yard.
One right up there in the yard. Out there, because that was actually pretty heavy clover there before we let that grow up.
Yeah,
let that change. So, but other than that, got a lot of plant rotations planned. Have some of the Old Tin Cup variety or Old Tin Cup clover mix test plots going in with stuff, and then obviously we'll have the 100 proof turnip mix going out there, and then I think. I forget what Nate was calling it. Spring something. He was calling the clover mix. So I think that's what we're gonna go with. Spring Feast or something. I don't freaking know. It was a nice sounding name, so I think that's what we might go with. If he's tuning in, he'll know what I mean with the clover blends. But Clayton says, I believe the American chestnuts are either male or female or both male and female flowers on their branches. They do not self-pollinate. Yeah, I know you need multiples for that. I knew that sounded familiar with the Chinese chestnuts and maybe the American ones as well. I have never been fortunate enough to find an American chestnut out and around. I know the horse chestnuts are around, but deer and squirrels even don't forage on those. Those are a harder, spikier shell than the Chinese chestnuts that we have planted. So yeah, and I think our Chinese chestnuts came from a QDMA habitat workshop day where they were giving them out at the end kind of as door prize favors or whatever. And I wish that we took more. We just didn't have enough tubes at the time for them, and I wish we'd have bought more tubes and and made it work because they were free trees, and they had probably 100 of them left at the end of it. And we probably could have took as many as we wanted, but we just took as many as we had tubes for at home, and that's kind of what we planted around that food plot there that year. And yeah, I think we got probably a dozen around that field. Probably 8, I would say 8 or so are still alive. The other ones have died out, kind of for no random, reason. Like Bo said, the ones died or ones didn't die, but there was kind of no rhyme or reason to it. So I'm wondering if they got a little bit of pesticide spray to them or what it might be. But yep. So Jarek said, "What's the weird clover that grows tiny yellow flowers that goes to seed right after? Pretty sure it's invasive. Anyways, it took over my front yard last year. Could be mouse-eared chickweed. Is a common one. It looks very similar to clover. Typically, you won't have anything foraging on that. It's typically something that comes back after a herbicide spraying or maybe somewhat of a drought condition. It can be fairly drought tolerant." But probably mouse-eared chickweed, I guess. We're just talking plants. You got to talk bows. Now I'm talking plants.
I like it.
But is that a Pokemon? Mouse-eared chickweed?
Yes. I think it's called a
Pikachu. It's in the new release.
It's in the Pikachu family.
Yeah, the next 1,000 or whatever that's out now. I don't even know how many. Nate was saying that the other day because we do a little sports card collecting and stuff like that. And he was saying I have some old Pokemon cards from when I was a kid. And he's like, well, I'm starting to collect some for Owen or whatever and kind of, see if that's the next thing or whatever. But he was saying how many different ones there are now, dude. I'm like, I remember it was like 150 of them or something or whatever it was, or 300.
Dude, I think I don't even know.
So I don't know if mouse-eared chickweed is a Pokemon or not, but I know it's a very common one to find in your woodlots. So, or not your woodlots, but your lawns and disturbed areas and poor soil conditioned areas. So probably mouse-eared chickweed, I would guess, would be a pretty good guess. But again, I was also looking at some of the tree species out there, and it's stuff that we don't have, because of the altitude and the colder conditions. Obviously, they have that. It wasn't something that I was all familiar with some of the stuff I was walking through out there. I was over there laughing. Yeah, we're just talking mouse-eared chickweed Pokemons tonight. Grows good under cedar trees in the front yard. Yeah, probably mouse-eared chickweed, dude. I would think. Pretty. It's
your new favorite words.
Yeah, there you go. Hell, it's the only thing that grows there. Hey, man. Bag up that seed and sell it. If it's the only green thing out there, I'm sure they'll eat it. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's toxic. I don't know. Yeah, I would say it's mouse-eared chickweed. Probably be my guess. Why don't you read up Clayton's comment, Jake?
Let me know if you want some American chestnuts.
You got a tree, bro? Is it like a true American or is it a horse chestnut? That's what I'm curious about. I'm going to have to call you. I know you messaged me today. And I'm sorry, man, I was in the field all day, so I'll get a hold of you right after this episode if you're still up and around. Yeah, I say up and around. It's 8 o'clock. I'm like an old man. That's the other thing I've been doing too is other than like drinking water, cutting back on beer, stretching and stuff like that, is just trying to get to bed at a decent time. Because I get up at 5:15 for work. So
I'm right there with you.
Yeah. Well, we both got a little bit of drives.
Yeah.
Mouse-eared chickweed. So that's not the right one. It's not the one I wanted. There it is. University of Minnesota. That's not it either. What the heck? Goodness gracious. Yeah, mouse-eared chickweed. There's a couple other ones it could be, dude. If you send me a picture of it, I can tell you what it is. No problem. Clayton says, true American. True America.
Fuck yeah.
America chestnuts. Yeah, I would definitely, be interested in hitting you up for some of those. I got a whole bunch of oaks planted right now that a buddy of mine sent me. So got them all potted up. And then Yeah, I got all the whites planted, and then the reds are wintering over for me right now in the fridge. So I should probably check them, make sure they're not getting moldy, because I haven't checked them this month yet, and it's February. I checked them at the beginning of January, right around New Year's. So just make sure they don't mold up, and just keep them moist but not moldy. This is the easiest way to put them to simulate wintering over, like they need to have good germination rates. So, well, we're about 1 hour in. That's about where we like to cut these episodes off at. So, anything you want to add for this tonight, Jake?
Guys, it's not too early to get your bow into a shop. Make sure your stuff's good. I know we say on the podcast all the time, or at least I try and throw it out to you guys. I'm sure Ben does. You know, get those winter reps in. Always stay up to date. Yeah, go shoot your bow. Just like if you guys listen to Working Class Bow Hunter, they end every podcast, go shoot your bow. Shout out to those guys. Absolutely love that podcast. Gets me through my work day.
Well, you can't listen to just 100 Proof. You'd run out of episodes. But now we're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So another plug for us. Shameless plug at the end of the show.
Oh, we're on
check us out. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you're listening to your podcast from. And if you can't find us on whatever podcast thing you're listening at,
you're not trying hard enough.
Or let us know and we'll get on it.
That's it.
I just got to upload the stream file. If you have like a specific one that you're on, I know there's a million of them now for podcast things, but I know Spotify and Apple are the main ones. So that's the ones that I wanted to start with. And I think we're on Google Podcasts too, or something like that. I can't. And dude, this is all French to me. The only thing I want to do is try to get the podcast link on the Old Tin Cup website. But yeah, I'm booking up too for another shameless plug for the night. So we're gonna
I'm in.
Thanks, Bo. 5 stars. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, so we're trying to finalize booking up stuff probably until I only got probably some weekdays left until May. Other than that, I'm pretty much booked out on weekends for property visits going forward. So if you're interested in having some habitat work done, property consult, property designs, I have changed my formats a little bit to make it more cost effective for folks rather than doing full in-depth plans, just doing full day visits and then letting the owner basically draw the map throughout the day rather than sitting down at the end of the day. Just trying to offer different packages for different folks because people learn in different ways. So obviously we'll do our ribboning, we'll do all of our discussions and stuff like that on the property, picking stuff apart. Different pricing breaks for property sizes and stuff like that too now. Just trying to, help as many folks as I can with it and try to be, the best rounded product I can offer for people. So thank you guys for tuning in to 100 Proof. Thank you, Jake, for coming on down.
Thank you for having me.
I'm going to enjoy this nice little proof of Yellowstone, but
thank you guys for tuning in. It's always a pleasure to be down here. I love talking archery, so if you guys ever have questions, go to your pro shop. You just want to shoot the shit. Ben knows how to get in touch with me. I'm not a social media man. But absolutely, guys. Yep. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. Everyone, get out there. Go shoot. Stay up to date. You'll thank me later.
Yep. We'll see y'all next time in the field or down at the bar.
See ya.
Take care, guys.